Hello, welcome fellow Mythrunians to the live stream that almost didn't happen because I was without internet for a good deal of the week. So, lucky to have internet again. Happy to have fat pipes. So, let's get started. We're going to be messing with collision shapes. Let's go ahead and flip over to here and thank the patrons. Everybody give them a round of applause. They help keep the lights on. And many of them have been with me since the very beginning in one way or another, and I really appreciate it. Yeah, so up in the upper left, you can see is the link to get the most recent version of the game. Seems like we pick up a new user once a week or so, which is kind of cool. Again, so the goal is still June to like open it up to a wider audience, which means at some point here, I need to start like working towards the server things I need to do to be able to handle, you know, if we get an actual influx of players and so on. But today we're messing with collisions, and I want to talk a little bit about what we're going to do. Last week, in the midst of trying to get Mythruna Girl to run up the stairs, well, let me show you. So in the midst of trying to get her to run up the stairs, we were having, you know, collision detection issues, and we weren't really sure what was being detected where, and so on and so forth. So one of the things I did, I made a little list of things to so the path, to improving collisions for pathfinding. And one of the things was to be able to time step the physics engine. So like not only to be able to pause it, but to be able to step it through frame by frame. Hey, Rom Cram, how's it going? I hope you all have had a better week than I have previously on. That's right. So if we head over here, one thing I added was the ability to. Also, I set a little thing in so that the clip, the near clip plane is set really far out, so as we come up to these things we can actually see through the walls a little better, which makes it easier to see what's going on. So let me make sure. Yeah, so for example, I can pause the simulation, and then I can tell her, or not warp, I want you to, okay, how do I cancel the warp? Okay, we'll warp you there. Okay, warp you there. Oh yeah, physics engine's turned off. Okay, so we'll pause the physics engine, and we'll tell her to arrive up at the top of the stairs. Come on. So then we can zoom in. And I was surprised too. There is a lot going on. We're getting a lot more contacts in the collision detection than I thought there were. And so that is something we're going to have to mess with as well. It might actually be a bug in how the contacts are being visualized. Like I think maybe it's displaying, not cleaning them up properly. But so anyway, now we can step. So she's geared towards, like, we can step her through this, and we can see when the collisions happen. So she's getting a collision right there that says she can walk up the steps, and then she can go here. Yeah, so we're seeing the contacts the way we're supposed to see them right now. We get like a little contact. I don't know if you can see that in there. I'm trying to get just enough so we can see inside the. Anyway, you can see the little arrow there. But if I go in here and I actually toggle them on and off, we get more. So there's some kind of they're either like accumulating. It does. If I keep stepping her through, they do go away the next time we get like a real contact. So I think there's something that's not cleaning them up when they're supposed to be cleaned up. But this is going to be tremendously useful to see how exactly we're colliding with things and when, because it was like too hard trying to just get her to walk in certain directions and hope we saw the effect. But the ability to step through each thing, and especially when I start adding the step up animations, this is going to be crucial. So this is a big deal. And so yeah, we can see like all those contacts. Yeah, it's kind of concerning that there are so many. So that's one of the first things we're going to look into. But I also want to talk about why this is important. We kind of hacked everything together to get her to walk upstairs last time. Yes, yeah, so see, there's even more here than we think, because there's a couple that seem to be obscured by their own. Whenever I render these shapes, I render two of them. One without depth right and depth test, so that we can see it through walls and stuff. Like if we came down here, you can kind of see it through the wall. So it's actually rendering it twice. Once regular, and then once without depth right and depth test, so that it'll show through, but like really transparent. I think what's happening here, this little thin transparent one we see, I think that one's, I don't know actually. I don't know why that happens. So I'm a little concerned that our debug shapes are lying to us, and that's never a good footing to be on. You want your debug visualization to be accurate, at least. So anyway, so why is this important? Well, we already know the sphere probe wasn't really great, because she tries to walk into things that, she tries to walk into things with her head. So when we do the pathfinding, we do the, let's say, path 2 here, and then steps. So when we do the pathfinding, we do a much bigger collision shape. We have these big, rectangular probes. They're actually thicker than this, but that's about the height they are. They stick up above her head, and they stick down below into the, well, these don't, but the real one does stick below into the block, so that we know sort of what level she's on. And we're going to need something like that, because it will tell us all the contacts along the way. So we need something like that instead of this little sphere. And that also gives us a shape that we can make different sizes depending on the model. So if you're a short little Gafen bird thing wandering around, we can have a short one. The dog may require a special probe. It's unclear, but even the dog would be shorter, right, for walking and stuff. And so, sorry, got thirsty. Hold on. Itch on the top of my head. Okay, so let's bring up the drawings. And I love to draw all day. So I don't think I can reuse any of these. One problem this points out, and something we're going to have to deal with, and actually make her smaller. I don't know what the hell I'm doing here. Okay, so it looks like she's walking this way, so let's make her walk this way. So let's say there was a ladder here. So there's rungs of the ladder here. So right now the probe, if we had like this round probe, it's just going to hit here, and it will probably detect that there's a contact here that she could step on. It's probably going to detect that there's a contact here facing her. It's not clear how this would get interpreted, but worse yet is when we convert over to, a big, it paused for a second, so it screwed up my shape. So when we do like this is actually many separate blocks, this kind of collision shape. And so we actually will get separate contacts, for maybe each rung of this ladder, as blocking. And so from this collision shape, it would look like there's a wall here and we can't get up. When really, let's see if I can, well, I don't want to spend too much time drawing this, but really what we'd want to do is detect that there are a bunch of little up things that she could climb on. Right? The other thing is, there's a problem right now where if she's standing up here, well, she's going to be way too short, but if she's standing up here and there's a single block drop, we're only looking down this far with our collision shape, right? So we know if it's a half block, we know she can step here, but technically, if there was a full block, she could jump down, and she could probably jump back up. And that's not something we detect in this case. So I don't think I'm going to be able to get away from having multiple shapes. And what I'm thinking is we could have this shape that's a stack of blocks like this. I think I'm drawing too many blocks, but because it's actually half a block wide or something. So we can have a shape like this that tells us, is there something in front of me? And the neat thing about this is if we only get a hit here, we know, yeah, she can keep walking. If we get a hit up here, we know, oh, it's going to block her head. And if we only get a hit here, there's probably something she can step up on. So this is kind of a cool shape to have from that perspective. But it's not the whole story. And so what I think we're going to have to do is have a collision shape that's like this, and then another one that's just a ray, basically in here, but I'm drawing it out here. Array, if you don't know what array is, it's a line that extends only in one direction, right? So we start at the top of her head and extend it down to like the farthest she could jump down, right? This is a relatively efficient physics query, and the neat thing about it is it will tell us every collision along the way. So if there were ladder rungs here, we'd get those as contacts. If there was, a floor here, we'd get that. If we'd get this floor here. And so we could start from the top, work our way down, and find the nearest collision and decide what we wanted to do with that. And if the collision is, somewhat below. And the thing is, the other thing that I want to do is make sure that whatever thing we build that's doing these probes is also the same thing we use to navigate, to figure out the paths. So instead of just a stack of blocks, we would do a stack of blocks and array, because it's all factored into the pathfinding algorithm, right? If she's, let me clear the path, warp her up here. Come on. Oh yeah, resume physics. Okay, so if she's up here, and I say I want to go down here. I really need to fix that. I want to go down here. So if there were no steps, it could be that she gets down here, and everywhere else is too long, and she could just jump down and walk over there, because jumping off of a 2-block height's not that big a deal. Jumping off a 5-block height could kill her, right? But a 2-block height, she can probably, it's no big deal. But it's not the first thing that they would want to do, because then they can't go back. Humans, we don't want to do that. We would rather take the stairs. Well, I guess unless you're a parkour enthusiast. But so it has to count into the pathfinding decisions, right? So if we came up here and we found, that the contact wasn't until down here, we might assign a slightly bigger cost to that, so that we're more likely to go around if there's an easy path around. But if this is really the shortest path, we'll take it. And so for a 2-block height, we would assign even a higher cost. But it is something that she would take. But anyway, this is information we would need in the pathfinding algorithm. So I think that kind of covers what my thing is. So we want to modify the probes to do their own queries, because currently the way it is in that driver. I'm looking at the wrong things. So in that update body for the physics driver, we do the queries here. We get the, where is it? Yeah, so here we query contacts. We do it out here in the update loop, and then we ask the probe. We use the probe as the target to get all the contacts, but we do the query out here, and then we ask the probe to calculate steering. Really what we should be doing is letting the probe do this, in case it wants to do different kinds of queries based on what it finds, and so on and so forth. It just gives it more agency to do more interesting things. And it could keep track of some state for us that we could use, the highest down contact and things like that we could query about even in pathfinding. So I think what we're working towards is that we'll make probes a little smarter, and then we'll change them to, combine that stacked blocks shape that I was talking about with array collision query. And so we'll get rid of the sphere and we'll just do these. Although we'll see. And then I want to do at some point I want to do, probably not on the live stream, but I'll do some performance tests once I have a probe that can do its own queries, I can do performance tests to figure out whether the sphere query, how much less time does it take than a stack block plus array collision query. The thing is, once we give the probe its own logic, we could decide that based on what we get back from the stack blocks query, we don't even bother to do the array collision query, right? So it's all good. And then so then once we make the probes smarter, we should be able to use them for the pathfinding instead of just that one shape. So that's our goal, is to kind of improve all of that. And I think it's cool that we'll be able to single step everything. Yeah, it's fun to make her jump, then pause the simulation, and then you can watch her step as she falls. Yeah, so remember we added just the dumb code to get her to do the walk animation, and it's just based on her velocity. So even as she's falling, she walks because she thinks, oh, I'm moving. And so even those would be topic for a future live stream. Potentially, syncing up the animations properly with the thing, and then having the ability to step through them would be super useful. So where do we want to start? First of all, I want to be able to debug that block stack. So when I create that shape, I want to make sure that I can debug it. And I'm trying to think the best. I also want to investigate why we get so many contacts. Every one of those costs time to calculate. So if it's really getting all those in one frame, that's expensive. So let's warp her back to here, and we'll resume the simulation for a second. We'll pause the simulation. We'll arrive up here, and then step. So really, I think we get one contact. My theory again is that it's accumulating but not being cleared. So let's see. First of all, so the probe contacts is what we're talking about. And it's also weird that it doesn't show up until you turn them off and turn them back on again. So we reuse them, and I'm supposed to be cleaning them up. But perhaps I am not. Let me make sure there are no other early returns from this method. No. Okay, and this is definitely probe contacts. If I turn these off, do I get anything? No, we don't get anything. So that is where the originals were coming from. And somehow when I turn them on, they you guys let me know if this clipping is confusing for you. I just find it useful to be able to see through the walls. So I set it out about 0.75 meters from the camera, because it's just much nicer in these tight spaces to be able to do this and still see what she's doing. But I admit it looks weird if you don't know what's going on. So there's definitely two things going on here. Let's, instead of contact entities, let's do my classic trick of commenting out the code but keeping it here kind of thing. So instead of that, what we'll do is we will remove them every time. Stacks contact entities each. Uh-oh. Yeah, I think my keyboard is dying. I haven't changed the way I type, but for some reason the control key is lagging, and so I find I'm hitting control end a lot, and it's taking me to the end of the document. So like I'll hit control to move over, and then I'll do something, and then or hit control V to paste something, and then I'll hit end, and the control key is still held. I'm pretty sure it's not me, but I can't 100% guarantee that. Okay, so we want to always create. Good evening, Max. How is everyone doing? Okay, so we'll just like spam entities. Yeah, we'll just grab these. Oh, for here we want to say state.contact entities.clear. Yeah, it could be. So what I think might be happening is that even though I'm removing this component, the shape, it's still leaving it in the simulation for some reason, and that's why turning it off and on, like there's a weird state in the debug view. That's probably what it is. So there's a weird state in the debug view where if the shape gets removed, it removes it from the view, but it keeps it around. Yeah, that's exactly what happens. And so then when we turn the layer off and on again, yeah, but that wouldn't explain why it keeps doing that. Okay, anyway. Yeah, I don't technically need this for I loop anymore, but that's fine. What happened? So on Wednesday afternoon at about 5 o'clock. So fortunately, I had finished with most of my work day. Like the power went out, and like I could hear a transformer really loudly out there somewhere going, vroom, vroom, and then it would stop. And a couple times our power flickered a little bit, and we heard vroom, 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 and it stopped. It really sounded like in the movies, you know, when a transformer is, electric transformer is doing bad things. So it was somewhere nearby, like really near, and it took out, what would be considered several blocks around here. And I guess it took out our local network operations center for the cable company, because our internet went out too, and that almost never happens. Like we lose power and I'll have internet, and because most of my network components are on UPS, we'll still have internet here for another 15 minutes as all the UPSs die. And so sometimes I still have access, especially on my work computer. It's kind of nice. I have 15 minutes to like calm everything down. Yeah, up close you can feel it. I don't know if that's true for you, but that's what I find is up close. Like, I don't know, I feel it. So we were without power until like 8 something that night. Yeah, that was Wednesday. It came back on. So I went out to see a band play at an open mic night. My son's and my vocal teacher's band, and the power was back on before then, so I was able to shower and stuff before that. But we still had no internet, and it was probably good that I went out because I would have been climbing the walls in here without internet. And it was still out in the morning, and so for work I tethered to my cell phone, which was painful. So that's the other fortunate thing, is the local cell phone tower was also outside the area of impact. But it took the cable company a long time to get things working again. So I imagine whatever arced and made loud noises really fried their systems. I can just imagine a bunch of network operations guys in there, trying to troubleshoot which hardware got fried and which didn't. And so I have a like 8-core AMD Phenom Black machine that I built maybe a couple years after I built this Mythruna machine dev machine that I'm on. So it's still Windows 7. It's got like a decent NVIDIA card and 8 cores. But it took a hit. It's on UPS and everything, but it still took a hit, and now the graphics card's acting weird. I meant to actually bring up some pictures to show you guys, but what it looks like is, so the system thinks it's 1900 by 12 or 1920 by 1200 or whatever, but it's displaying like it's 800 by 600, so you can't actually read anything. Though sometimes if you like grab a window and move it around, you can kind of through, like when you move your head through blinds, you can kind of see around the slats. It's kind of like that. So I tried reinstalling the graphics drivers, because if I bring up the display settings, it doesn't know what kind of card is in there, so that's a good clue that something's wrong with the graphics card. So I tried reinstalling the graphics drivers, and that didn't work. But to reinstall the graphics drivers, I was taking screenshots of the dialog prompts and stuff and saving them to the network so that I could look at it on another computer. So yeah, I think I'm gonna have to replace the graphics card in there, and that's unfortunate because I was trying to save money aside to build myself a new computer, because it's been like 10 years, and so that'll suck up some of that money. It's hardware decays over time. It just all seems to hit all at once. But anyway, everything's back now, and I was finally able to. So this morning the internet was back. Or it was actually last night the internet was back, and so I like downloaded all the things, at work, all the Docker images and things that I hadn't been downloading. I went ahead and downloaded all the things. All right, so what were we doing? We were we should be able to just do this. Let me just run through this in my head. Okay, we want a def contact entity. Yeah, it was quite the mess. But, like my wife kept saying the whole time, is like, yeah, these are really first world problems. But, like, when you're used to having a status quo, it's really, it's like almost going back to, stone tools. But, yeah, I'm a little concerned about that other computer, because that's where I read my regular email and pay bills and, a lot of contact stuff I do over there. And that used to be where I did my main work for day job. But on the new contract, I actually use the work-provided machine. Okay, so probe contacts, blah, blah, blah. I think this is all good. Let us see. Did it compile? It did not. Okay, so because the I is already defined here, we should put that inside too. Good after evening. Making chicken wings today. Nice. I'm going to make chicken fajitas for the family tomorrow, or as we call them around here, fajitas. I used to say fajitas, but then my son started calling them fajitas, and I think that sounds funnier. So yeah, we're making chicken fajitas. I'm making chicken fajitas in the cast iron skillet tomorrow. And tonight I'll just have something small. Well, maybe I'll have a chicken sandwich. You've convinced me. Making chicken wings. Maybe I'll have a chicken sandwich later. Or fake chicken. Alright, so that compiled okay. So let's see what she does. Let's warp her back down here. Oh no, what's that going on? What's that all about, lady? What's going on there, chica? Pause simulation. Resume simulation. Oh boy. Jump, jump, jump. What is that all about? Nothing I've done. So let's warp you over here where you're not gonna... no. She's good and confused. So did she think... We can see into her head. Okay. It could be that when we sit in one place too long that velocity gets messed up. I don't want to sidetrack the stream dealing with that. But let's see if warping Um, oh. Oh, wait. Ah. Why is warping not working? Path 2. That's working. Oh, okay, well. It doesn't matter. I accidentally hit escape because I was thinking of escaping out of the Fade the Hedgehog. Yeah, she was really running there. Gotta go fast. Well, she was walking super fast because that was the walk animation. Anyway. I think it's funny that the walk super fast looks more like running than the jog super fast does. It's probably something I should explore. Alright. Let's see if things are going to behave now. Wow, I never noticed all the... Oh, wait, what's this? Somebody is setting a binding outside. Oh, but it's the character shape. I do that on purpose, actually. Okay, create the mob. Put her here. Oh, no. Okay, so... No, we're just, we're bugging out. And so that means the driver never finishes updating. So we have legitimate... we got legitimate issues here. Yeah. Boy, you leave one line out and things go totally to crap. Okay. Okay, so now we're back where we were. Okay. Pause the simulation. Arrive up here. Okay? Step. Okay, let's make sure our step. We should hit, okay, probe contacts. Let's make sure. Okay, we've only got one contact. Cool. Pizza. You guys, please stop talking about food. I haven't eaten since noon. Yeah, so this is better. Yeah, so basically it was remembering this cleanup code was not doing what it was supposed to, basically. Right, I can remove, yep, okay. It's weird that, yeah, okay, I'm not going to look too much into that. Okay. Alright, so now we have reasonable, okay, that really freaked me out before. Although, why is it hanging around? Okay. We have legitimate issues here. Either those old ones are not getting removed. Yeah, that's what it looks like. So we have legitimate removal issues here. This oh, I didn't really fix the problem. Is it remove entity? Well, the compiler is going to tell me. Okay, yeah. So see, when we remove them, it works because they all cleaned themselves up. So let's warp her back down here. Uh-oh, there we go. Oh yeah, gotta remember, I'm inside a wall right now, so I can't click on anything. That was probably the reason I couldn't warp her before. Okay, pause the simulation. Arrive. I spend so much time sometimes on these little non-issues that are issues. Okay, so let's step. Okay, we got the one. And it should be gone now. Like if I come here and I turn these off and on, yep, it's legit gone. Okay, cool. Yep, see, I don't know if you guys can see, there's a little arrow in there. One thing I can do, okay, so I can't, if I stop this now, it's going to reset. So let's go ahead and let her finish the thing. We'll warp her back down here. Then I will change the probe color to something even more transparent. Yeah, so we can still see the probe, but it's barely there, right? And so now if I pause the simulation, arrive up here, And then step, 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 step. Should be a little easier to see those collisions. Yeah, maybe. It's there. I wonder if it would be better if I just wireframed the probe. Costco in Mythruna. Who's to say? You know, when you're running, like in Mythruna, one of the things you'll be able to do eventually is you'll create your own city, town, or whatever. I mean, I don't know how advanced that will be, but certainly you'll be able to do it. That's 100% going to happen. You'll be able to create your own town. Whether you know how much control you have over it, or how much control the game has over it, or whether it's just a bunch of buildings you put down. It'll definitely be there, and you could make your own Costco. You just have to source the right products. So, what does debug shape create sphere do? That's not where I want. I want to go in here. Create sphere lit. Yes, but no wireframe. Okay. Hub for everything. Yeah. Idiocracy. Who knew that was so prophetic? So prophetic. All right. Okay. So what next? We want to swap out this collision shape. It's weird. Because it's a child of Mythruna girl, the layering happens weird. So even though it's transparent, and when we switch over to boxes, I'm going to make them wireframe. I can't make it wireframe. I haven't added that support to the spheres yet, and I don't really want to do that right now. That's one of those things. Like if this was like a more lively chat, you know, with more viewers, I'll take a poll if everyone wants to see me fix the spheres to have a wireframe mode. But now we'll continue along the path we're going. So one of the things I'm going to do is change the collision shape that is used for the probes. But before I do that, I want to make sure I can visualize it okay. We already had that body shape we defined for the paths. I'm trying to relearn. Oh, and in the world of regular Mythruna, let me go over that real quick. So in the world of regular Mythruna, I've been fixing bugs. I fixed some performance issues that I noticed on the server, so I fixed those, and the server's been upgraded with those already. I made it so that you can actually select clothes for yourself. I think maybe I showed you guys that last time. No, I did that last weekend. There's the cool indicator when the screenshot was taken that wasn't working last weekend. Last week, I fixed that. Yeah, so a bunch of stuff like that. I'm currently trying to track down a bug that I saw in my world. Apparently, I have a wand in my hand, and it also exists at 000 in the world, and that really confuses the networking system. And I know how to fix it. I don't know how it happened, but I know how to fix it. But I'm trying to use that to fix the networking system to be more robust in those situations where it's confused about where an object is. Because it keeps trying to warp it every frame, and so then it dumps all this debug output. It doesn't actually cause any problems, but anyways, bad news. I'm trying to fix it. So we have a shape here. So we just take the shape, or we make our own shape. Yeah, here we create a ghost sphere. Woo! Yeah, so let's temporarily create our own. We're going to steal this from path actions, which makes a character shape. That's interesting. Why did I register? Was that so that it would render them if I actually... Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Alright. So let me steal some of this stuff. Way up here. Just stick this here for a second. So let's make a probe shape block. Okay, so let's 6 probe shape offset, which we might not need. Okay, so the reason it's minus 1.5 is because we're gonna. So we're making 1, 2, 3. So I actually did have this almost right. It's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's this. So it's 6 blocks high, but they're going to be half a block big, and so, you know, it's really 3 meters high. So half of that is, you know, 1.5 meters. So that's what that is about, centering the. And I actually think this is going to be wrong for what we're trying to do, but that's why we're going to attach it to our... I'm going to make basically... So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a shape that I think is what we want. I'm going to attach that to the character rig, and then I'm going to render a debug view of that. Well, I'll render a debug view of that attached to the character rig so we can see where it is and what it looks like. And then we'll convert the probes to actually use it. And then we'll convert the probes to have... what I want to do is add ladders to the... Anyway. Yes, my brain occasionally goes ADHD squirrel mode. I think of like 5 different things I need to do. Lists, my friends. Lists save your life. Okay. Okay, so probe shape. Let's make the blocks, create probe shape blocks. Now, this works. This works because the way the physics... So normally I would have to make sure to pick cubes. This is using the actual Mythruna engine for the block types, right? So, or MOS actually. So each of these is like a little block object. This is like making a little block object. So normally I'd want to make sure I picked block types that were actually cubes. But because of the way the collision system works, it turns out not to matter. Yeah, so the other interesting thing I could do, because when I get contacts with a block object like this, it actually tells me what the block type is. So you can see how if this was lined up right, I could actually use a different block type for the top and a different block type for the bottom, different block types for the middle, so that I could just see what the block type is and immediately know whether it's below my feet. So we might consider that if it turns out everything lines up correctly. I have a feeling it won't, so... Alright, so we can create the probe shape. And then I did some funkiness here where I registered a factory. That's so that I could visualize it normally. I don't want to do that. I could visualize it normally, and then, yeah, this was all clean up stuff. And then character shape scale. We do want this. But we'll call it probe shape scale. And then I preset the character shape, which I could still do. And I don't know why. So I don't know why I did that as an initializer. Is it? Yeah, I do now. I do now. You can't make a block object and calculate all the things you need unless the block type index has been loaded and initialized. Like, it needs to know what block type 1 is when we're setting it. I was going to leave that in case I want to go back. And so that's why I don't actually initialize, in this case, the character shape. An initializer is run after the world loads and everything's initialized. So I'm going to need to do something similar. And I think instead of getting that warning all the time, I'm going to say probe shape equals null. And then I'm going to set up the initializer probe shape. That just sets it unique so that it will replace the previous one if we change it. And then create probe shape blocks. And probe shape. And probe shape scale. Okay, so when that code runs, we should have a probe shape we can mess with. And does it run without error? It does run without error. Okay? And so now let's make a thing to create a shape for that. Sorry, my neck's getting sore. Yeah. What do we want to do about that? Because we can render a bunch of little boxes. I could also make a debug shape that is, I don't know, that's going to be a lot of data to add to this class. Alright. Create cell debug cell shape. And what do we need? I'm going to steal the current code for creating a probe. But we're going to do it a little differently. So what do we need? We need to know the body ID, but we'll go ahead and take the whole body. I don't need state. Maybe I do. Well, what we'll do is we'll return all the entities we create, and then we can do whatever we want with them. So we want the body ID, and let's go ahead and take in an offset. I think that's all we need. Yeah, so we'll pass in an offset. So, oh, color. We'll define our own color in here. That's fine. So we'll keep it at 1 for now. We'll make it brighter because I think when we do a wireframe, it's going to be fine. And we're going to need the shape. Okay, so an M block shape should have too much code, too many codes. There it is. So when we create a shape for cells, we're creating a cell array part that becomes the root shape, or the root part of the shape. An en bloc shape has parts, and parts have parts, and parts have parts, and so on. It's a hierarchy of shapes. Each one of them can be a sphere or a block shape. And in this case, our root part, just the part, should be a cell array. And the cell array part has a method on it to get the cells. Yes. Okay, so the cells. Cool. Alright, so we want to say cells equals shape dot part dot cells. And hopefully that doesn't blow up. And then we want to say if we're going to create, we want to do the probe shape offset. Yeah, so for int I equals 0, I is less than, oh, I typed it twice. Cells, I think it's size X, or is it X size? Too many things to remember. And so we can go here, we can look at cell array. Size X, size Y, size Z. Come on, fingers, do what I ask. H-I-J. Okay. I type so many of these loops. Alright. So we'll assume everything is solid for now, which means we always want to render a cube. Shape entity is equals so def entity equals ed create. Problem is my brain is thinking about the next 9 steps, and so I get lost in the step I'm in. I need to focus on what I'm doing. That's kind of what we're doing here, is learning to focus. So like last time we were trying to rush through getting everybody to walk where they're supposed to walk, and so on and so forth. And today is all about drilling in on this one problem that is fundamental to all the other things. And so there's a little bit of focus that needs to happen here. I'm not always great at focus. So we want ed set components. We're setting them on the entity, and these are the components we want to set. We don't want to set them like that, but oops. Okay, so our actual location, it was going to be probe shape offset minus so we've got a couple different things going on here. So here, origin is going to be shape part. Oh wait, I don't know. Oop. Cells dot size. Oops. To deck 3D. Multiply by negative 0.5. I think that works. So we want the origin to be, you know, like if we had a block like here and this is the center, we want it to be down half of everything. And so V is going to equal, and then we want to add the probe offset. we may not need to. I'm going to leave that out for now. Actually, we can add it here. Oh, the other thing we want to do is multiply by the probe shape scale. So that it's, you know, the proper 3 blocks high and not 6 blocks. Okay, so origin, shape scale, that's good. So here, origin dot add I times so some of you who follow the math more closely might say, well, why couldn't you just do all of that in cell space and then multiply by scale right at the end? And yes, you are correct, I could have. I find I get in trouble sometimes, though, forgetting when I've put the half and, you know, when I've transferred to a different space. So sometimes I think about it a little different. Okay, so we want to attach it to the body ID. We want to attach it to the COM. We have defined our offset. We want probes, sure. We don't want to create a sphere. We want to create box. To create a box. And a box takes the extents, which is going to be 0.25 in this case because extents go in all directions and we want it to be half. But we will make one vector for that so that we don't have to keep calculating it all the time. Extents 0.25, 0.25. I really need to make a single arg constructor that fills it out, kind of like in GLSL. Okay, so create box takes a string for the layer, extents, color, lit, and wire. Extents, color, lit, wire. Extents, color, we don't need it lit, wire, true. Let's see if that compiles. Nope. It's too good to be true. Line 70. Oh, yes, because that should be a parenthesis. Okay, it compiles. We're not going to see anything yet because I'm not doing anything with it. But where we add the probe, when we create the driver, it's that we do that. When the state is null, we do a bunch of junk. And so here we could create the debug cell shape. I should probably have done this. Oop, oh, sorry about that. That was loud. I don't know if it's loud for you as it is for me, but wow. Driver.body.id. And then the offset, which right now I want to see what centered over the center of mass looks like. And then the probe, what do I call it? Probe shape. Oh, and I didn't return the... We want to be able to add them to our cleanup. But just in case, I'm also going to add them to the cleanup entities. So there's cleanup entities, which is refreshed every time the script reloads, and then there'll be like other entities we may want to refresh if we change the shape or swap the shape. So that's why I'm doing this here to make sure that they're always cleaned up when the script reloads. But then down here, we could do something with these if we wanted to make them as part of our state object to remember. Like we have the probe entities defined here, so we apparently do stuff with them. Okay, so that should create errors or, yep. Well, it did something. Sometimes doing something is important. No signature of method. Set components. Somebody out there noticed. Okay. And was yelling at the screen. Okay, no such property distance. Okay. What line was that? I forgot to look. 75? Boink, boink, boink. Oh, yeah. Ah, this is the code I left over from before. Okay. Yay, look at that. Okay, so that's not at all where we want it to be. And it's not at all the right size. Okay, well, actually, it kind of is the right size. Wow, like visualized, this looks a lot bigger than I expected. So, this is useful, right? But also, excuse me, I expected it to be positioned over the center of her center of mass. Which is, so it is vertically almost centered. No, see. Yeah, it's got issues. So this is why we do this, right? We want to make sure our foundation is solid. And so far, we know for sure it is not. That sphere was already added to... It should be sphere should be centered around the center of mass already. I will confirm that. Blah 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 blah. Okay, so here we create that probe at half a block high. What are we doing? What is the alt probe thing? Who remembers? Who from previous streams remembers what alt probe is? So we create a probe, we create an alt probe. What are we using the alt probe for? That one gets a grayish red color. Do we set, so we don't even use that. That was, we were testing something, right? Yeah. We were testing something related to the physics engine. Okay, so cool. That means we're only dealing with the regular probe. So we ought to be able to search for .probe. I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right thing. Okay, so when we adjust the probe, probe offset is what I need to look at, but otherwise we're just setting it. Yeah, we're just putting it right, plopping it right on the thing. Sphere centered around there, half a block diameter. So what do we set that to? Nobody's setting it, so it must be set. Say what? Robe. set? Oh, okay. Let's find out where we're creating the probe, because that's where it's set, is in the... Yeah, so we set it half a block high. So what if we set it... Where is actually 0, 0 of the Mythruna girl? 0, 0 of Mythruna girl is right there at her feet. The, yeah, so her origin. We're pushing it a little ahead because I think there's an offset. Like, I could take that out for a second. We're going to get rid of this code in a second anyway. So I just want to see. Yeah, so that is her origin. Okay. So that means this shape is off by a half a block in Z and X and Y, right? Because it should be a oh no, that's actually accurate. So in Y it's good. No, it should be right here. So it is half a block off in that direction also. So somewhere my math is off. Let's go see. Okay, that looks good. I think that's fine. So the origin. Yep, this is a classic. That was a classic problem. So when you think about a cell array like this, that's, you know, I'm just gonna make this one 4 blocks high, right? So this is one we took half. That should work. I thought I knew exactly what the problem was. Oh no. So I actually did this. I am right. So you think you take half of this, like size 1. You know, this is size 1. So you take half of that, you get 0.5. The drawing are always the highlight. You think so? And so you take half of this, right? And you end up with here and here as the half. But the problem is the blocks we're rendering. So this is if we were thinking that the blocks are going to be rendered at their 0, 0, right? But in this case, we're actually rendering blocks from their centers. And so we don't need to offset by this half a block. So we need to take that one half a block back out again. I know it sounds weird. So we took off too many half blocks. Actually, we could just add back extents, right? Because we're telling a block, so we want to render the box centered here, but we're actually telling it to render the box, right? No, it's the other way around, right? We're telling the box to render here, but I know what I want to say. We are telling the box to render as if it's at its corner, but it's actually going to be rendering at its center. So we are telling it to render here as if it was going to render here, right? But it's not, because it's a centered block, so it's going to render it here. And so we need to add back in that half a block so that it's centered. This is the classic thing, because Mythruna 0, 0 is at the corner of the block, not in the center of the block. So you're always adding in like half a cell if you want to find the center of a block. And this isn't the case. So we already know what the center of our block looks like, so we'll add it back. And this is why I like to multiply by the scale early, because I know I'm already in world space. I can add these extents. Otherwise, I'd have to add 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, and remember that I was going to scale later, and it's fine. Sometimes it's just the way I think. So that should have moved us up, and it did not. It didn't change a thing. Oh, another classic problem in JMonkey Engine and subsequently the mathd libraries is that add returns a result. So if I wanted to add, I got to say origin equals origin.add, right? It's like math, origin equals origin plus extents. In fact, I should be able to do this. I don't know if I've included the extensions for this. I did. So yeah, in Groovy, you can actually just do real math with vectors because I've included the extensions. I may include them in mathd itself. Okay, so good. We left the old ones behind. That's not good. That's because we didn't add these until later. And the problem with that is if we have a failure along the way, then we miss out on some. So like these, there's one that won't get cleaned up here. Let's turn off the body debug. Let's warp her back down here. So she's got 2 associated with her right now because she might actually have more than that. Maybe we're not cleaning them up correctly. The operator overloading. Oh yeah, it's really cool. And yeah, so like yeah, that was really neat to do. You can even do like, I think it even works to say origin plus equals extent. I think I've got that working too. Let me make sure I'm not just I'm making sure I'm not just doubling up boxes all the time. So I'm gonna make a bunch of them, and I think I'll make a different color. It could be that these are never getting cleaned up. These are never getting cleaned up. So every time I run the script, it's supposed to clean up those entities. And I don't know why it isn't. So that means every time we run this, I'm adding more and more debug shapes to her. And so I'm going to have to restart in a second anyway, but I want to make sure I want to see if I can fix that problem first. I think this is working. Let's make a purple one just to see. Yeah, so see, it's there, but it's layered in with so many things. There it is. Yeah, so the purple one's in the right place, so we've that code is working, but yeah, we are indeed just layering box over box over box. These aren't getting cleaned up like they're supposed to be. We create them. Why aren't they getting cleaned up? I mean, what's disturbing is that if I do that, if I don't fix this, I can't keep making tweaks. They'll just keep layering them on top of each other. So I want to fix this, but I have no idea what's going wrong. I add the entity to the cleanup. All right, well, let's just, while we got this here, let's log info created entity. I know debugging is not often the most entertaining aspect of this, but okay, removing. Okay, so we should see all the removings. Wow, see, we're removing lots of stuff. Oh boy. We clean up all these. Oh wow. We never clear the set, so every time I reset the script, we're adding more and more entities to clean up. Yeah, so let's start over again. This is going to take a while. All right. Boink. Okay. All right. Set up our playground. Start the simulation. Yeah, see, we're already clipping because of the way I've set it up. Oh no, that's not clipping. That's regular. Okay, never mind. Okay, let's put Mythruna girl back here. Let's put her up here so we see her a little better. Okay, so she's got her thing. And it's centered over the sphere. Okay, so now we need to work on, for her, where we want that offset to be such that it's at her waistline, and every character's is going to be a little different. I will probably add when we have the rig and we load it up, the simulation should be safe. I should be okay. Oh wow, hey, at least she's wearing underwear. Somewhere in this armature is going to be a point that I want to consider her center. And I just need to add an attachment point to that spot so that we know where, that should be where her center of mass is. In fact, it probably is on the other models. Mythruna Girl's an old model. She doesn't even have a center of mass. Yeah, so that's why. She's getting 0, 0 as her origin. Maybe we can just add one real quick. So if we call this center of mass, we don't want it connected to her breast. We want it connected to spine something. Spine? I gotta turn this off because I can't see. That's the base of her spine, I guess. So let's try spine 1. Spine 1 looks about right. Let me do the old-fashioned, how many fingers tall is she? Okay, so there's 4 fingers on the bottom and only 3 fingers on the top. Actually, I'm going to get out a tape measure. So this funny thing, right? Using a computer, but then pulling out a tape measure to measure things on the screen. So she's 2.5 inches on my screen. And then like 2 3/4 inches at the bottom. That could be a result of the angle we're at, though. So to head, she's 2.5. Yeah, and then to bottom. Okay. So I think I can set the offset. Yeah, so I should be able to drop it down a little bit. So that should be her center. Yeah, I'm pulling out the tape measure again. Hey, if it works, right? So that's exactly 2.5. And almost exactly 2.5. So yeah, good enough. Good enough for government work. Yep, 4 fingers tall, 4 fingers. Yep, cool. Okay, so save rig. Is it going to work? Compile binary. Okay. Now if we go back over here, we should be able to delete her. Then what happens if we create her again? Oink. Okay, so let me just make sure. double check her again. I want to make sure it's saved. Also could be that the rig is being loaded from a different place. She's got a center of mass. Well, it's not really a center of mass, but close enough for this. Okay. So that's all good. Just compile the binary one more time. Let's do sample 2 binaries. Yeah, I did add it to the right place. Okay, so maybe it's, oh, it's being cached. So I did have to restart because I had to like add a thing to clear the cache. So should be better now. Oh God. Let's do this and then come back. Yeah, there we go. Okay, what was the error? What was the error? Oh, is that same setting binding outside? We're getting a new setting binding outside. Probe shape. Oh, okay, well, I'm not going to pay attention. It's not a real error. All right, so create her here. Nope, still not working. All right, okay. That's a me problem. I'm going to fix that on my own time. It's we already knew the old stuff had an offset. That's what this is, in fact. So where we create the thing, plus we're checking to see if things get cleaned up correctly because they were not before. So where we create here, we're going to send in probe offsets. But I don't scale till the end, and so probe offset should be 3, right? Offset is added. Never. Am I ignoring the offset? Okay, so I can make this whatever I want it to be. Because currently I'm not using it anyway. So if we make it to be after that, probe plus equals extent, origin plus equals offset. Removing, removing, removing. Oh, what are you removing? Where are you getting all of these entities? That's disconcerting. There's no paths. It won't be doing that. There's no target entity. There's no... We'll add the probe once. We're not adding contacts here. Probe contacts shouldn't have anything. Maybe though. Oh boy. Yeah, I just locked it up. So there is a ton of probe contacts that aren't getting cleaned up. So a downside. So every time I manually remove a component here, that I've also added to the cleanup, I need to remember to remove it from the cleanup. We don't have to clean it up anymore. So I need to, everywhere we're calling remove entity, except there. Yep, entity. And there. In fact, I could probably just, that's the one I just did. No, I actually was being smart here. Yeah, so some of these I was already smart. Okay, see, that's much better. So we created 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the boxes. And then we removed them. It says we removed them, and we created new ones. And for some reason, something is hosed. Is my stream still working? What is going on? Okay. Let's just do this. Can someone confirm that the stream is still working? Yeah, it says it's still working. Okay. That was weird. And I've got like this constant 50% burn over here. Let me make sure there's not an old one running in the background. It looks suspicious to me. It could be the groovy demon, but the fact that it's 600 megabytes is disturbing. I don't know how many of you just go and randomly kill things in your system process list. Like I kill things all the time. Cool. I hope it feels like we're making progress. Okay. So we'll go to the playground. And we'll create the thing. And we'll start the simulation. And we will put Mythruna girl up on a pedestal. Okay. Now we're cooking with gas. That is exactly the wrong direction. But why though? Subtracting. Oh, because it's upside down. We had already subtracted. Yeah. So I'm being a dumb. We are already centering the blocks, so we don't need to offset by half the blocks. What we need, this is for where is the center of the rigid body, and it's definitely not below her feet. I think she's 1.6 meters tall. Does that sound right? And so this needs to be half of her, so like 0.8. Because we can math. Aha. But in point of fact. So that, she may be a little taller than that. So let's see. 1 whole block, 2 whole blocks, 3 whole blocks. So that'd be 1.5. And then about a half a block. And more than a half a block, right? Okay, so wait. This is... Yes, this is half a block, half a block. That's a meter. 1.5 meters. And she's almost 1.7 meters, maybe? Somewhere I have this written down, because I need to know it often enough. We'll know we got it right, I think, when this line is right on the ground. So let's set this to 0.75. No, we want to go higher, not lower. So 0.9 would be 1.8. Right. And did that not change it? Or it didn't change it enough? Well, so here's the thing. We actually do want this to be down a little bit. And we don't want it to be so far above her head either. So this is where we get into an issue where the blocks don't really directly align with what we want. Ideally, we'd have blocks that are exactly her size. But if I do that, it scales them down to the point where they're too thin to... They'll find paths that she can't go through, because she can't walk through something that's wider than 0.5. Yeah. Just reading the gotta clean the proc list. Yeah, that's the thing is I routinely go and find Firefox instances that are like this one. Normally, except for I suspect that's Photopea or Photopia. But normally if I see something more than a gig like this in Firefox, I just kill it. And then Firefox will figure it out. The problem is eventually the main process itself has accumulated all the crap and I have to kill it and start over, but it's the price of doing business. Okay, so this may be the best we get. It's a little above her head and a little below her feet. It is the downside of using this. What I really would like is to implement, I've talked about this before, but to implement a capsule collision shape in Mythruna. And so for that, what I would end up defining would be, well, essentially a vector, right? I'd define a point here, that's the base, and then I would define, how long it is. And so that could be, that's the nice thing is that could be even rotated in any direction. And then I define a radius. So like if this was the radius, that would make it kind of like this, right? It would be the constant radius around this whole thing. Because distance from point to a line is relatively quick to calculate. Sphere to sphere, so easy. Like take the distance. If the distance is less than the radius, is you're intersecting, right? Block object to a sphere, these are more complicated. But this should be relatively straightforward. Well, certainly for sphere contacts. For blocks, it gets a little tricky. I have to treat them like little spheres. I still think ultimately this is going to be super useful, but for now we deal with the tools we got, because that's like a whole, that could be multiple live stream sessions if I did it that way. Okay, so this is not bad. This might be good enough to get us started. So the other option I would have is to use smaller blocks. Like, for example, so let me show you what I mean. Okay. Also, let's just make sure that we're really cleaning things. Yep, okay, so we're cleaning out the old ones now, so that's good. Okay, so we've got this where we want it. So let's say I used half block size, so half again, so 0.25. This is now what I can set here. So if I set point shape scale to this, and that would mean I would need 2 of these, and 12 of these to get roughly the same shape. Right? Oh. I've done something wrong. I add, there's an extra. Okay, we've had some problems with it cleaning up the shapes. So I'm going to switch the color back to red just to make sure all of these are really there. It's supposed to be 2 by 2. And somehow it is not. Moreover, and it's also hard to say if they are overlapping. So it could be, yeah, that's what it is. Oh man, that drives me nuts when this is so skewed and I look at this and it feels like my editor's leaning sideways. It's the extents, these extents. They need to be probe shape scale. Oh, half of probe shape scale. Here, what we'll do is we'll do the exact opposite of what I was saying before. Anyway, so we'll do this and we'll mult by probe shape scale. Okay, that's better. So there was the right number there, but they were overlapped. Okay. But the reason we could do this is because we could start shortening the height to better match her. The problem is I can see already that we don't, yeah, it's not really going to help. Like she's even still a half block off, half of this kind of block off here, and about a half off block here. So we would have to go double again. Every time we do this, it gets more expensive. But let me just show you, if we double it again and make this 0.125, that should do it. Oh, no, we have to do this 4 and 4. Right, so now we've doubled the resolution again, and you can see that even the, you can't see, but I can see, even the rendering is slower for this, but OpenGL doesn't really like lines. But here we start to get to the point where right, we got it right on her head and right on her feet. So this is the, if I wanted it to be exact fit, this is the resolution. Now, I don't need it to be an exact fit necessarily, but the thing is, eventually they're going to be different character heights, and some characters will be able to walk under lower ceilings than others. So it is kind of important, and I think I won't actually be able to solve this problem until I get to until I get to have that collision, the capsule shape like I talked about. So I'm going to make this configurable. So let's for a second say we want this. So let's be 6 times probe block scale and 0.5 divided by probe block scale, and then this. So now it should be parameterized. So if I want it to be 2, like I do that. If I want to go back to 1, like it was before, then Physics Engine will be happier with me if I do this. So we'll work with this and see how far we get. Yeah. So what next? We've spent a lot of time making a debug shape. Let's flip our probe over to use this instead, which should be just as easy as, let's change probe to have a different shape. So down here where I create the probe, excuse me, instead of passing in, oh wait, I don't pass in a shape, do I? Yeah. Right here, we pass in the body and it creates the shape. We want a version of this that doesn't do that. So let's make another version that doesn't take radius, doesn't take offset, we're going to pass all that in ourselves. Oh wait, we do want offset. That's an offset on top of the shape offset. Do I need the body state? I think I do. Yep. To add the probe context. Do I need the body? Yes, I will need the body. And we will take M block shape. Alright, and so then instead of this, I will call body state create ghost offset. What is radius used for? Nuttin'. Right, radius doesn't need to be here. Oh, we used it to create the shape. Yeah, so we only need it in this constructor. We don't need it in the other constructor. And we don't need to keep it around. Okay, so we should be able to go back down here, and we'll create a different one instead of setting, wait. Body state shape offset. Okay, body state probe shape offset. And then instead of creating the probe entity, we'll let this other one stand. But we're going to want to keep track of them so that we can move them around. Oh, you know what else? I can get even fancier than that. So the debug stuff lets me create a hierarchy of things. So I can actually still have a probe entity at the I can still create a probe entity, a single probe entity, and make all these guys the children of that. Yeah, that would be better. And then so instead of passing in that ID, I'd pass in the entity ID. Yeah, this will work. Should work. Definitely want to add that. And then this is the one we make it attached, but we don't put a shape on it. And then in here, yeah, and this offset, sure. Let me just keep this line in case I need to go back. So this should be state probe entity. Oh. Okay, so that should make things bad happen or work. What's the proper radius for probe? Oh, yes. Silly me. Why, of course. We don't have it, so... no such proper radius for probe. Line 53, no. Line 468. Oh, yeah, well, that would have been bad. So I need to actually use the shape I passed in. Okay, different error. We like different error. Oh, probe entities. Yep, that's a bug. So this is why I have this warning in here, because it catches me when I do scope problems. Or I forget to say like state probe entities. Because I had like here a list before, right? And I removed that because I was thinking, oh, I'm going to make... Anyway. Doesn't actually cause a problem there, but... Okay, so we've got... Why do we still have the sphere? Because we're rendering a sphere. So adjust probe should not be doing this anymore. Just setting this position, because the probe is, we're still going to move the probe like we did. We don't have to get a color. We'll set the offset to the distance, because that now we want to see it for real. Okay. There we go. And we see we get all kinds of contacts now. We're going to have to filter those out, because she's going to get really confused if we try to walk. Whee! Awesome. Wow. So this is a JMonkey engine error, because something that I was trying to combine was null. The buffer was null. So I've been slowly hacking my local JMonkey engine to fix these kind of things in a way that I, not necessarily in the general way that I can contribute back, but in the way that I know my stuff will never hit it kind of thing sometimes. So it's trying to do the transforms on an object, so it goes through probably its position buffer, and for some reason that position buffer is null, which means somewhere I'm creating bad things, but let's see if it happens again, because sometimes it's just random, it does it. I wonder if it's because that object used to have a shape and then didn't anymore. I don't know. I don't want to get bogged down in low-level engine level style bugs. It's probably my bug, but yes, it's definitely my bug. Okay, we had an error above first. No, we're setting a binding character shape. That's normal. Probe shape. So yes, we're definitely doing something wrong. And it's in, well, it's in simple applications. So somewhere, batch node line 550. So let's dive into JMonkey engine code for a second. Sorry guys. It's not necessarily always great. Let's say 550 is what I said. Yep. No, it couldn't have been. 550. We're calling get. We check the bounds. So it let us rewind it. But for some reason the buffer doesn't have any data in it. That's weird. Okay. So I wonder if it's the amount of, wonder if it's related. Well, so one of the things I can do is start turning off. I think I still gated things like the contacts. Like if probe contacts, right? Okay. Probe contacts, so I can say if false here. According to YouTube, 7 of you guys have been hanging out with me. I think that's cool. Anybody got any cool plans for the weekend? Weather's supposed to be nice here. Okay. So like one of the things we know is that she's going to be going crazy because she's going to be seeing contacts where she's not expecting to see contacts. And so I think we're creating a lot of new, yeah, so basically all of those contacts we were creating, the debug shapes for the contact points, I think something got unhappy. But essentially, I don't think she can walk right now. So I think if I tried to arrive up here, she's gonna... Oh my gosh. That's right. Because it sets the force based on how far above her she is. So when, or how far above the contact. So when it detects the contacts up higher, she's gonna fly through the air. That was impressive. So let's have her arrive down here. It should be more reasonable. Oh no, because she's getting confused by all these contacts that she's getting. Yeah. Actually, she's not doing too bad. But because we can't actually see the contacts, which is the whole point of all this, by the way, so I have to fix that problem. Yeah, so she's like hitting all kinds of stuff that she's hitting the floor all the time that she's not expecting to. But she makes it, right? It's not pretty. But yeah, if I was to turn this back on, that's when we're going to get our crash, I bet. Oh, surprisingly, no. Oh, what happened to my, what happened to my shapes? All this is still good. All this is still good. I probably don't need this anymore. And it's back. So something weird happened. It's hard to say whether it was in the visualization. See, I like that you can see the box under the ground. Yeah, so if I try to arrive over here. Okay, so it's okay until she gets to things like stairs. Let's see if she can wall slide here. Oh yeah. Okay, so we saw a bunch of contacts. That was all good. I wonder if one of the arrows ends up as... wouldn't end up as 0 length. That doesn't make any sense. How? Oh, so index out of bounds exception null just means that the buffer was of size 0, I guess. But we don't know. When I saw the null before, I was thinking null pointer exception. But I don't know why float buffer get. So sorry guys. Trying to decide which end to debug this from. It's kind of critical. And we're bumping up on time. It sucks. I don't know that this has been very entertaining. But maybe it's useful to see how people work through things. So we know it's those contact arrows. So that is something we can start with. Well, we're pretty sure, right? So that thing I turned on and off. Let's confirm a little bit. first. Maybe we can narrow down what is actually causing the problem. Okay. So we're so close. So close. Oh man. I mean it's in a way it's like not a bad place to stop. We get like all the visualization stuff done. We get like the base setup, and then the next is like the decisions that need to be made. So like before I wrap up for the night, when we get there, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so we've got no contacts, but we shouldn't be worrying about contacts. If we arrive here, yep. So she doesn't have any problem. I mean, she's not doing it very gracefully, but there's no... Oh, yeah, she's going the wrong way. Come on, Mythruna girl, you're going the wrong way. You're heading in the wrong direction. Okay, well, she's doing her thing. She might make it eventually. No, she's just going to get stuck. So let's try her back here. There she goes. Okay, so she made it there. So it's definitely, as soon as I turn those on, if I was to have her do the same walking, it's going to fail. So it's definitely, something we're doing in here is making JMonkey Engine very unhappy. It could be contact normal, because we use that to figure out the length of the arrow. So if we get a bad contact normal should always be length 1. So let's just verify that. Neat thing about length 1 is it's also length squared. In fact, let's okay, math ABS 1.0, or yeah, 1 minus the length squared. If that is greater than 0.01, then that means we are like 0.98, right? And so we will log a warning. Contact normal is weird. CN, and we will continue. We will not draw this one. So from here, that's the only thing I could think we could be doing wrong. We could be sending a weird position. No, we would still have a buffer. So, oh wait, this isn't the one we're using. That's a big false right here. It's this one we do. This is the real one. What is that other one? Oh, that's the old one. Yeah, when I was constantly reusing them and had leaks. I should just remove it. So here, if the contact normal is bad, warn and continue. So let's try turning them back on. This is sometimes how you debug problems. You gotta like break it down and figure out which direction to come at it from. And so sometimes if you know it fails only in a certain area, narrowing down the possible cause. Yeah, so we've got problems because it didn't even render our debug shape anymore. Why is that? So let's try restarting. Okay, I think that has to do with the hierarchy. Yeah, because even now it's rendering too slow, or too short. It's not clear whether the... Nope. Okay, so it's not bad normals. Next step would be to figure out what we're actually building. So in the debug view state, where we create an arrow, what kind of arrow are we building? So we know it's arrows, so that limits. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Every time we change the shape. So that's like, if I change them to boxes. So if I make all the arrows boxes, will it still fail? Is it specific to arrows? Right? So we've got 9 people on now watching me debug this my code to Jade Monkey Engine interface. Let us try again. Yeah, so I mean, if we can get this particular visualization solid, we're set up to next do the actual decision making as far as what the probe needs to do. So let's put you down. Arrive over here. Yeah, so see, we are still rendering, but now that they're boxes instead of arrows, of course I didn't see any of them. Let me just make sure it's still on. It's still on. Okay, so let's pause the simulation, have her arrive over here, and then step, 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 step. See if we see any of these contacts. I'm not seeing anything. So there may be something missing that allows the boxes to render. Let me make sure that oh, why does it take so long to turn that back on? That's scary. We're rendering a lot of something. Got 38, so we're rendering a lot of something. But why aren't we seeing the boxes? Or are they in a weird place? I'm not seeing them in any weird places. Oh, wait. What are these? Oh, no, that's the root of the object. That's right. Let's let you finish what you're doing. Oh, no, 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 no. Bad things are happening. Yeah. She's good and stuck. So it's doing something bad. Like, we're getting no frames a second right now. Hopefully you guys are still seeing the stream. Yeah, so it's not my computer, it's just this is doing something bad. So all that rebatching. Yeah, see, she's walking, and we get 0 frames a second. Can I clean path? Is that gonna... Yeah, so something weird is going on here. what if... Okay, well, I'm going to have to kill it because it's too slow. So let's put this back. I don't know why turning it into a box caused that. I was going to say my system's only running 52 degrees. Let's try just making a arrow that points up. And we will add it to... We will just make it at the origin. Okay, so we won't see them, but they'll be there. And let's see if that fails, because it could just be... It could actually be a JMonkey engine bug with lots of arrows, although I haven't had that problem before. With batching lots of arrows. I still say somehow one of those arrows is degenerate, and it's causing JMonkey engine not to like it. But we'll just see if this works. And the other doesn't, then it's something to do with the position or the normal. So create a mob here. Okay, so we get a little... We should actually not get that contact there. They shouldn't be attached to anything. Oh, I changed the wrong part. Shoot. That's gonna bug me. Okay, there's a bunch of problems I have to fix. For one thing, the fact that the shape keeps shrinking, that's a problem. That shouldn't happen. Alright, so we should have... Yeah, so we've got a... you can't tell, but there's a contact right here. Like, I rendered it 0, 0. So let's see if we can wander around and still get the error. Yep, okay. So it has nothing to do with the parameters that I am passing. I'm passing in safe values every time. And so it has nothing to do with that. So I'm going to have to debug down in the JMonkey engine code. But let me talk about what's next for next time. Because basically I will make sure that what I've done today is stable. And then, well, I'll show you. Well, I'll bring up a visual and we'll talk about it. I'll put her back on her little pedestal. All right. So the assumption is that you guys do not find me debugging JMonkey engine entertaining. In which case, I will do that on my own time. Let's place her here and hope she stays. Okay, that's good. Okay, so for next time, I will make sure this works, that contacts are displayed correctly. Because that's a bug I've got to like drill down into JMonkey engine and have it give me better errors about what's going wrong. And so I'll work that back up. So we'll have good contacts. And so we'll be ready to start writing the code to make decisions about what the contacts we get are. So I'll have that working. What else? I think that's it, right? Because we're really close. If we could show proper contacts, we could see which of these blocks are hitting, and we could start writing the code to make decisions about whether that makes her turn, or she tries to walk up, or she tries to walk down. I may go ahead and put... I don't know if you guys are interested in watching me refactor the probe code to allow casting the ray down from her head too. So I may do that also. I think I've got some of my own bugs to find too. It depends on how quickly I find that bug that's making the crash happen. But that's where... So this is where we're stopped tonight because it's already 11:11. I'm disappointed that we couldn't get a little farther. But that's what it is sometimes. So we spent the last half hour... I don't want to say it's a JMonkey engine bug until I look, but that's what it certainly seems like now. Since I passed in known good values and it was still doing it. And everything's on a single thread, so I can't even blame threading. So I think we're just overtaxing the batch node, which batches up all these geometry into one mesh. So I'll have that fixed for next time. And that's what we'll end it. So let me... Are there any questions or comments as I wrap this up? Otherwise, you can also ask in comments on the video. And, you know, like and subscribe and so on. And then if you grab the link from my Blue Sky account, SimSilico at Blue Sky, or in the upper left corner of the video that you just watched, you can download the latest version of the engine and try it out. That's also where the Discord link is if you want to join the Discord. Lots of friendly people there if you want to talk about Mythruna or Mythruna related things. Otherwise, I will catch you guys next time. Thanks. Actually, I can do like this and fade. I can't even fade the music out. It won't let me do that. All right, see ya.